Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be talking about when I first found out I got or have gallstones or got gallstones, whatever. I'm not trying to make this video super long, so I'm just going to jump right into it. So basically this happened back in March of this year. So basically I was pregnant and I was craving the McDonald's fries and iced coffee, hazelnut iced coffee. So anyway, I go to McDonald's, get that, start eating it. And then I notice I start to get this like pain in between like my, it's like in my chest, but like in between my boobs. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. And at first it feels like a jagger sharp like pressure pain. So that's how I started starting off. So anyway, I'm just like, oh, okay, maybe it's just like acid reflux, because I used to get acid reflux with like all my pregnancies. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's just that. So anyway, I pop a Tums thinking it's gonna go away. It doesn't go away. It actually starts to get stronger and stronger. So then I just started like panicking, like, okay, what the heck is wrong with me? So then my man's like, okay, well, let's try to like, I'll do a bath for you, like with Epsom salt. Maybe that'll help relax you. So he did a warm bath with Epsom salt. That didn't help. I tried lying down with like a heating pad on my chest, and then I even tried it like on my upper back. Didn't help. So the pain was basically like, it started here in the middle, then it started moving underneath like my right side of my boob and up my right side of my back. So I'm like, okay, this is really weird. Like, I know there's something wrong with me, but I just don't know what it is. So anyway, we started like Googling stuff, like pains in chest or like what it could be. Everything was popping up that it was like signs of a heart attack. So I'm like freaking out and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna freaking die. I'm having a heart attack. So he's like, okay, well, why don't you text your coordinator and like just maybe like see if she knows what it could be, or, you know, just some advice or whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. So anyway, I text her and I'm like, hey, you know, this is what's going on. This is how I feel. I feel real uncomfortable having these pains. So she's like, oh, well, it's probably just a baby on your lungs. Like, don't worry, don't panic. Just try drinking some water and then lie on your side. So I'm like, okay. So I tried doing that, but I had already knew like, okay, I don't think it's a baby on my lungs, because I know what that feels like. And it's like, this is like actual pain that I'm having. So anyway, what I do is I'm just like, okay, well, let me just call like the emergency room, because I honestly didn't even want to waste like time going over there, because it's like they make you wait forever. So I'm like, let me just like call and just see like if it's something to be alarmed about, like should I come in, should I not, or what. So anyway, I call them up and I let them know, you know, I'm like, okay, it's like where the pain is down, I'm like, okay, to my chest, and then it's like moving up on my right side, and this is how it feels. It literally feels like you're having contractions in your chest. So they're getting very strong and really uncomfortable. So she's like, okay, well, if it's pains in your chest, those are usually signs of like a heart attack. So she's like, you should come in, especially since you're pregnant. She goes, I wouldn't just like wait, I would just come now. So I'm like, oh my God. So then I start freaking out. I'm like, okay, so we rush to emergency. We get there, and you guys, let me just tell you, they made me wait 8 hours before I was even like, before they gave me any meds. Like, it was like the whole time I was there was a whole 8 hours. So we left her like around 8 at night, and I was there for like 8 hours. So I get there, I check in, and basically this is how it was. So I had to wait like forever. They finally called me, and then they only called me, the first time they called me, they're like, they took my blood pressure, they what's it called, they did my vitals. They're like, okay, go ahead and wait in the waiting room, and then they'll call you soon. Waited for I don't know how many more hours. They called me in, they did blood work. They told me to wait again for I don't know how long, you know, longer later, and then they called me again, and they're like, okay, now we're gonna do the ultrasound. So I'm like, okay. So the ultrasound was about 20 minutes. So then the ultrasound tech's like, okay, so go ahead and wait in the waiting room, and then they're going to call you soon. I'm like, do you know how much longer it's going to be? Because I'm like, I'm in so much pain and I don't even know what's wrong with me yet. She's like, no, I don't. I'm sorry. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I go wait. So then this time I just go up to like the girl in the front, and I'm like, hey, do you know how much longer it's going to be? Because I'm in so much pain. You know, I'm like, I really need something for the pain. Like, I really don't feel good. I feel really nauseous. I feel dizzy. I'm like, you know, I'm having those pains in my chest are getting real strong. She's like, okay, well, did you do blood work? I'm like, yes. And then they're like, okay, did you do ultrasound? Yes. Did you do your EKG? And I was like, yes. 'Cause I was like the first thing I did when I got there. And she's like, okay, did you do a urine test? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, well, we're just waiting for your urine test, and then I'll be able to give you your results. So, you know, we'll find out what's wrong with you. I'm like, oh, awesome, cool. So she's like, okay, go pee in this cup and then bring it back to me, and I'll let you know what's wrong with you. So I go do that, bring it back to her, and she's like, okay, it's going to be about 30 minutes or so until we get the results. It's like, what are you talking about? You just told me that if I bring it back to you, you're going to tell me my results. She's like, yes, but we have to send it to the lab, and by the time we send it back, it should be about 30 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, are you kidding? I was like, I've been waiting hours already. So she's like, yeah, I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, well, for sure, it'll only be 30 minutes and then I'll find out what's wrong with me. She goes, yes, for sure. Dude, I was waiting for like 45 minutes. And let me tell you, I was already waiting hours before that. So I was already annoyed at this point. So 45 minutes later, they call me and they take me into like another waiting room, like a smaller, like mini waiting room with a bunch of other people. And she's like, okay, have a seat. The doctor will be with you in like 5 minutes. And I was like, oh my God, I have to wait again. And she's like, yes, I'm sorry. We're just super busy. And I was like, oh my God. So luckily 5 minutes later, the doctor comes. He's like, Crystal? And I was like, yes. And he's like, okay, follow me. And then he's like, okay, so I got all your results back, so I know what's wrong with you. And I was like, okay, well, what's wrong with me? He's like, you have gallstones. I'm like, what's that? And he's like, well, basically they're like little rocks, like little stones that are inside of your gallbladder. And it comes from eating like a lot of greasy and fatty foods. He goes, and the reason you're having so much pain is because your gallbladder is contracting. And I was like, oh, that makes sense, because I told you it feels like you're having contractions in your chest. So that's probably like, you know, like when he said it was contracting, that's probably what I was feeling. So I was like, oh, okay then. He goes, yeah, and right now your gallbladder is inflamed, and that's why like you're in like a lot of pain. He goes, so the only thing I could do for you is give you like narcotics, but he goes, very small dose, just because you're pregnant. And I was like, okay. So he goes, okay, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put you on an IV. We're gonna give you Norco, and he said something else. So I was like, okay, cool, you know. And I was like, and that'll take the pain away? He goes, yes. And I was like, okay. He goes, so look it, go through that door. He goes, go in the waiting room, sit down, and then they're going to call you soon. I was like, I have to wait again? I was like, you just told me what's wrong with me now. And I'm like, I'm in so much pain. And I'm like, how much longer do I have to wait? He goes, oh, it won't be long. They're going to call you right away. And I was like, oh my God, okay, whatever. I was waiting for like 30 minutes again. So like literally 30 minutes. At this point, I'm just pissed off because I'm like, they're taking forever. Like, this is ridiculous. It shouldn't even be called a waiting, emergency room. It should be called a waiting room. Because that's all you do is wait. It's not even an emergency anymore. So anyway, I'm waiting there for like 30 minutes. And the girl finally calls me. And then she's like, okay, so do you know why you're here? And I was like, yeah, I have gallstones. She's like, okay. And I was like, what the hell? Like, shouldn't she know? So anyway, she's like, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you this little vial, and it's Norco. And then she says she's going to give me something else. And she's like, I'm going to give it to you in your IV. She goes, and then that should stop the pain. And I was like, okay, cool. So anyway, she starts the IV and everything. And then I'm asking her, okay, how long is it going to take before the meds kick in? She goes, I'll give it about 15 minutes and it should go away. And I was like, oh my God, another 15 minutes, you know, like, but I'm like, okay, well, I've been waiting all these hours. So 15 minutes shouldn't be that much because I'm finally getting meds now. 15 minutes later, I'm still in so much pain. So it literally didn't work. So at this point, I'm like freaking panicking because I'm like, oh my God, like they gave me Norco, which is very strong. And then they gave me something else. And I'm like, it didn't even work. So the nurse comes back. She's like, all better? And I was like, no. I was like, I'm still in pain. And she's like, really? She's like, well, it should have took the pain away. I was like, well, it didn't. And if it did, obviously, I would tell you it did. She's like, okay, well, let me go check with the doctor, see if we can give you maybe like another dose. She goes, but we can't give you too much because you're pregnant. And I was like, okay, just hurry up, please. I'm like, I'm freaking like dying here. So she goes, she comes back and she's like, okay, the doctor said it's okay to give you one more dose. So she gives me another little vial of Norco in my IV. And then she gives me 2 pills. I forgot what they were. So I took the pills first. Then she gave me the Norco in my IV. And I was like, so how much longer is it going to take now? She goes, it'll take another 15 minutes. I'm sorry. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm like literally like sitting there like with my head down like this. I'm holding my chest. It's like hard to breathe. I'm like freaking crying. My eyes are puffy from crying for hours. I felt so like sick, nauseous. So finally 15 minutes later, the pain finally stopped. So I'm like, oh my God, thank God the pain stopped. So she comes back, she's like, okay, all better? And I was like, yes. So she's like, oh my God, that's awesome. And I was like, yes, finally. So I was like, can I go home now? And she's like, no. I was like, why not? And she's like, the doctor wants to keep you here for like a few hours because he wants to monitor the baby just to make sure the baby's okay. It's like, oh my gosh. I was like, okay, whatever. So anyway, she takes me out to labor and delivery. And they do like a little ultrasound. They check the baby, the heartbeat and everything. Baby's fine. And the doctor comes in and sees me and he tells me, he's like, okay, so for the first 24 hours, you're gonna have to be on an all liquid diet just because your gallbladder was like, so it's still inflamed. It stopped contracting, but it's still inflamed. He goes, so the first 24 hours, he goes, you need to be on an all liquid diet. he goes, after the 24 hours after that, he goes, and you can go ahead and start on solid foods, but you're gonna have to be on a fat-free diet. And I was like, oh my gosh. So he's like, basically like all the good stuff you can eat, like fries, burgers, hot dogs, pizza, like all that stuff. So I was like, okay, fine. So then basically that's it. So then I just go home. For the first 4 days, I was like boiling chicken with like no seasoning at all. I was doing boiled potatoes, boiled vegetables. I was drinking lots of water. So I was actually doing good for the first 4 days. But I'm very stubborn. So I went back to eating all the greasy foods. And literally from then to now, I've actually had about 7 or 8 gallstone attacks. So yes, don't judge me. But anyway, I have next month, I have scheduled to do my surgery to remove my gallbladder. So I'm very nervous about that, but I'm also very excited because I'm like, yes, finally, this problem will be taken care of, and I'll be able to eat like whatever I want to eat without having that pain anymore. Because let me tell you guys, that pain it's bad. It's like terrible. It's like literally like you're having contractions in your chest. It's like, it feels like you're dying. It feels like you're having a heart attack. Like it's just the worst pain. So anyway, I hope you guys like my story. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Turn your post notifications on so that way you don't miss any of my videos. And please give this video a big thumbs up. Bye, guys.